Hey everyone. So this is sort of the second part of that DEA video series or pair where in the last video I kind of spoke to where we are in this process for the Manoa Banyan Court, DEA, and why hopefully you should care and that there's still time to act. Um, so in this video I was just going to go over some of the what I thought maybe a few of the key points that might be lacking or some talking points, comment points. Again, you can feel free to make any comment that you would want to. But some of these are like my top five points, and go over kind of walk through maybe a little bit how to submit a comment. So yeah, I felt okay. So the DEA is published. It's complete enough for publication, um, but I felt that there were a lot of things that maybe were left unsaid or were not stated kind of in a real complete way. It wasn't extremely comprehensive. So okay, let's just start rallying through these. First point, the flood risk. So in the DEA, they speak almost specifically to their site. They're saying they're not in the flood zone. Okay, so there's like no risk to them to the proposed action, and that they have access to a drainage stream bed runs right through their property, so they have access to drainage. So they're saying that they're good. Okay, so um, the drainage report in this DEA shows that over 9.5 acres of the development that they're going to increase the runoff to 70%. So due to having the asphalt parking lots, the roofs, it's going to increase runoff to 70%. And they also say in the DEA that there's nearly 100 inches of rain falling. So um, they're claiming that there's currently 40% runoff. I think that's pretty high, but even if it was going from 40 to 70% runoff, we're talking about here 8 million gallons of more runoff, just volume of water. Um, all this water again goes into this woodland ditch, and it gets channeled into a concrete channel that goes like directly to Manoa Stream, right at a point kind of near the park, district park, where it's already an existing sort of high risk flood area for the stream at that juncture. So they're adding more volume of stormwater runoff due to increasing the impervious surfaces, and they don't really speak at that level of detail about that. Second bullet, kind of a corollary to the first one. So they're increasing the runoff, so there's less absorption on the site. And the DEA says that where the site is, we're high enough kind of in the mountains where water that's absorbed on the site can become groundwater. It can recharge the aquifer. And so to, now that they're increasing the impervious surfaces, it's more runoff, less absorption. Again, that 8 millions at least of water that's now has to be managed by our stormwater system is not absorbed right into the ground, and it's not recharging the aquifer. Third bullet, what are there's just this proposed action is gonna pretty much cut down this entire forest, this naturally forested area, and um, they're claiming, well, there's just full of invasive trees or whatever, but it's still a forested area. That um, the trees, they still they aerate the soil so it can absorb the water. They hold up the natural stream bed, which is the woodland ditch. These trees are holding up that embankment. Um, the tree survey, which is the same survey as the original, identifies only 35 trees for saving over the entire area, and it calls for removal of invasive trees. So that's 80% or more of the total forest is now invasive trees that they're just going to remove. Um, the fauna survey identified this as a habitat for animals. Specifically, one they called out was the native white tern, and noted sightings of these terns flying, the white terns, during the survey. So it is a natural habitat to native animals, um, and it is a forested area that provides green space and whatnot. Right? It's green, and they kind of just say, well, it's invasive, so yeah, well, so you're welcome that we're gonna cut it down. I mean, that's kind of what it. Anyway, um, fourth bullet. So in the updated DEA, they were required to do a full traffic study, which they did. They had a bunch of intersections where I guess car counted or whatever they put those counters down. Um, I felt the report was lacking in kind of two main ways. One, they did not address the five-way stop. So all the traffic that's going through that Laurie and East Manoa intersection, I counted it's about 30% of all of the traffic in this survey area left sort of left their area through that intersection, and they because they didn't study anywhere beyond, it's like 30% of traffic kind of just disappeared at that Laurie and East Manoa light. The intersection has a light, and they did not address the five-way stop at all. So 30% of the traffic wasn't. It didn't really show the kind of the most bottleneck, I guess, part for those people, those commuters or whatever. The other 70% will use the Oahu East Manoa intersection, so to leave the valley, and that was currently rated, poorly. It was a DF rating for current conditions, in the traffic study. Second thing I thought, was kind of suspect. I don't know. The trip generation predictions for the project, it's majority weighted. So 70% was weighted on essentially extrapolating 1 day data collection sample from Manoa Gardens driveway. So I mean, to me, that's not enough. It's not a large enough sample set. Um, and even that site, it's in a little bit different area. It's close to the park that has a big parking lot. It's not necessarily representative. So very small data collection sample, maybe not fully representative site, and then they're extrapolating from that to get their chip generation prediction numbers that I think are low, kind of because of that. The fifth point. Okay, so significance criteria 3 in the whole environmental assessment process. It talks about not conflicting with state environmental policy, um, and that kind of the statute that covers that is HRS 344. The DEA doesn't speak to this at all. So in the part where they're saying, hey, we're not conflicting with significance criteria 3, they're picking other plans and policies and parts of those plans and policies, like the Oahu General Plan and the PUCDP, the Primary Urban Core Development Plan. So they're not addressing the state environmental policy at all. Some of the things in there, just for reference, some of those sub bullets, they're saying that you know you're trying to reduce the drain on non-renewable resources. You're trying to limit population to the levels determined, and so currently the site is zoned P2, general preservation. The the urban plan map shows it as kind of open space, green space, and so that is not zoned or planned for allowing additional residents, right? And that third, I guess, sub bullet I thought was the kind of a big one. HRS 344, encourage practices to conserve and protect, the watersheds, open space areas, which this is currently marked on our development plan map as open space. So, um, in my mind, this policy is supposed to conserve and protect that space, and I mean, I would kind of argue that this proposed action sort of doesn't conserve the forest and open space, right? In this area. So I kind of felt like it did conflict with HRS 344, which is the state environmental policy, and that would be significance criteria 3 for the EA process. Okay, so kind of the nuts and bolts of this whole thing. So how to submit a comment, DEA comment. So you would send the comments to three people. So first, it's like to the approving agency. So to DPP, an email, you'd email Zach Stoddard, and you would CC copy both the applicant, LYCA, which is down here, and you would also copy their consultant for this particular, DEA or this particular project proposal. And in this comment, you'd reference the DEA, and if there's a specific section that you are talking to, you would reference that section as well. Um, I'll put this this little PDF or whatever. Sorry, this little slide deck in the notes or comment section, so you can kind of get to it and start clicking. These are just some of the references that are part of this presentation. Okay, so I guess closing. Thank you for listening. Um, please submit a comment to the draft EA soon, I mean, before the 23rd of January. Thank you.